Oh, hello everyone, welcome. I'm Katie and this is a Fountain Pen Awakening. I hope that wherever you are in the world you're doing super good. I am sitting on my veranda today and it is a beautiful sunny day and I'm loving myself silly because finally the weather has warmed up. Now it's been quite sort of like a cool winter for us and it stayed cool for a few months, which is quite rare for us on the Gold Coast in Queensland, where we are kind of like a subtropical area and it's very mild. But this winter, for some reason, it's been quite cold and I've been feeling the cold and I've been quite miserable because me and cold weather, I like the sun, I like the warmth. So today is nice. It's like 29 degrees. Yesterday was 29 degrees. The day before was. So hopefully the warm weather has kicked in. Our spring time has started. Yesterday I spent the day cleaning the backyard, like the veranda, sweeping under the barley heart, making it all very cute to sort of hang out by the pool because it's pool weather, guys. Now, today is my 2-year penversary. So what that means is it's 2 years now that I have discovered fountain pens. This is why a fountain pen awakening, like awakening to discovering fountain pens, yeah. And as a consequence of me discovering fountain pens and being super enthusiastic and super excited about it and the hobby and stuff, but not knowing anyone who was into the hobby or any of my friends or my family who were enthusiastic, so I had no one to share it with, I then made my YouTube channel. So my YouTube channel is 2 years old as well because I thought, well, there is a healthy online community of pen lovers, fountain pen lovers, ink lovers, and I thought, why not create a channel so I can share my passion about all things fountain pens. So I thought that what better way to celebrate my 2-year anniversary than pop on and talk to you about my hot takes on the hobby, what I've discovered so far. Am I still passionate about the hobby? How have I kind of like navigated it? And I must admit, from being all gang ho at the beginning of my journey, I have slowed down a lot. One, because it's not a cheap hobby, but also because you kind of tend to plateau a bit. And I feel that you get to a point when you actually know what you like, and then you kind of tend to curate what you purchase. And so this year for me particularly has been a year of kind of a no buy year, or at least trying to just buy the minimum, right? And this year I've only bought 4 pens so far for the whole year, and I've got one pen on back order, which is my birthday pen. So this is one of those pens that is super expensive for me. Um, it's interesting because it was a certain price and then the month after it went up, and I have stated that I'm not really wanting to buy pens that are more than 400 Australian dollars. I can't justify spending that much on a fountain pen, especially in these climes, economic climes. And I obviously, the start of my journey, I was all gang ho and I bought all these pens, given that I wasn't buying super expensive pens, but you know, it all adds up. And so this year I sort of made myself slow down a lot and just be very mindful of what I was buying, and that, do I really need this pen, or am I just buying it to keep up with the Joneses? You know how you sort of see something and you want it, oh my god, I want that one, I want that one, I want that one, and you know, it's never ending. And so I had to kind of like, no, Kate, you're going to really think about what you want to buy, and do you really need it, or do you want to save up a little bit of money to get a pen that you really love. So that's kind of been my inspiration this year. I've cut right down also on inks and stuff, and just been really mindful and coming up with kind of like ideas of how to use the papers that I already have, because like, you know, I keep tending to buy all this stuff and then not use it, as in notepads, books, loose leaf paper, stuff like that. So coming up with creative ideas of how to repurpose stuff that you already have and just use it up right? So I've been doing that, and it's been great. So anyway, going back to my back order pen. So yeah, that pen, like, super expensive already. All of a sudden went up by 100 Australian dollars, and I said, yeah, I'm not going to buy this pen. And then they discounted it, and I thought to myself, all right, well, I'm going to ask my family if they want to, and my friends if they want to contribute as a birthday present towards this pen. So then I'm not the one that's financing the whole lot. So I'll put some money in, they'll put some money in, and then that justifies me purchasing this pen. But I ordered it the other day, and then I got a message from them saying, oh, sorry, there's a little butterfly. They just got back to me and said, oh, see, as we talk, disbanded shipment. My shipment is coming from Disbanded. I ordered some inks from Disbanded and some Tomoe River loose paper A4 sheets. Yeah, so, and they said to me that the nib that I want is sold out, but they're getting more in. So they just said to me, oh, do you want us to give you another nib, or are you happy to wait? And I said, I'm happy to wait. You know, my birthday's on the 14th of September, so it's a few weeks away, so it's all good in the hood, right? So I thought also what we could do today would be super fun is to go through my whole fountain pen collection. So what I've collected across the 2 years. I mean, it's nothing special, guys. It's just like, you know, a bit of a hodgepodge of different pens. I sort of started off with Lamis, as you do, and then I kind of stopped myself buying every single color, every special edition, everything, because this is what another rabbit hole is that you tend to then want to get the newest thing and the newest color. And I found that I was starting to do that with the Lamis because I got FOMO. Oh, it's a limited edition, I'm going to miss out. But then I thought, well, I don't want to buy all the same pens, right? I want to buy different pens so I can try different brands. And once you've tried like a brand and you know how it writes and how it feels, then you sort of can move on to something else. So I kind of had to stop myself from buying every single color in the Lamy Safari and in the Lamy All Star, and and that kind of thing. All right, so having said that, how shall I do it? Shall I flip the camera around and do head down maybe? Because if I do this, are you going to see the pens? We are, but not really super well. So this is my little fat man. This is a Mahjong, which started off as Moon Man. And my first one was my Moon Man S5, which I absolutely love. It looks like a little man from space, or not a man from space. What are they called? An astronaut, like, with the headgear on. This one actually stands. You can stand it up. So that was my first one. Super cheap, 37 Australian dollars. Came with 3 nibs. Writes beautifully. It's a demonstrator pen. It does have the grip section, which is really colourful. It's kind of got different colours in there, and very comfortable to write with, and you can post it super easy, right? Super easy. That was my first Moon Man. This was my second Moon Man. This came with 2 nibs, came with a food nib and just a normal. So if you can see that, that's the food nib with a tip. This I saw on Marcy Me's channel. She got it off, I think she got it off Amazon. I got mine off Amazon too. Again, it's a demonstrator pen. It holds a lot of ink. The only thing about this is it's quite short and it's quite girthy. The grip section is, you can post it. It becomes a little bit back heavy when you post it. But the grip section is very, very girthy. And to write with a Fuda nib, you need to sort of hold the pen at different angles for it to work. And this is a bit uncomfortable. So I might swap out the nib and put the other nib back in there. But this is not a pen that I'm using a lot at the moment. So it's kind of just in its little box. And then the other Mahjong or Moon Man pen is this one here. Oh, that was the neighbour. That's the V1, and it's a vacuum filler, this one. But the problem with this is that I've not figured out how to use a vacuum filler properly, in the sense that once you've got the ink in there, this kind of thing, if you close it up, it seals the ink, and it will write for a while, and then you've kind of got to release it to have the ink flow through. But even when I do that, the pen, like, there's not a proper ink flow. It will write for a little while, and then it's really hard to get the ink flowing properly, I find, in these pens. I'm so sort of, it was kind of a struggle. I mean, I love writing with it. I love the idea of the pen. I love the look of it. I love, like, the cap's so long, right? This can stand up to, it's just like a super cool pen. I love it. I love the aesthetics of it. It's fun. But my problem is that the ink seems to dry up, and even if I keep this open and I fiddle with it, there's not a great ink flow with that, which is a shame. And then I bought this one. This is called Dream Purple. It is the M600S, and it's a beautiful looking pen. It does come in this clamshell box and this lovely little sleeve, which I love. And this is the pen, and it's a size 6 nib, so fine, but it's really hard. I don't know how to explain it, but some pens are not comfortable. This grip section just feels really hard when you're writing with it. The nib, it's not nice like my other nibs, in the sense it doesn't write smoothly. It doesn't have any bounce on it. It's really hard. So on the whole, this pen is really uncomfortable to write with. I don't know how to explain it, but there are certain pens that feel soft in your hand even though they're hard. And then there's pens that feel hard and plasticky, and when you write with them, your fingers get sore. So this is one of them pens, which is unfortunate because it is a pretty pen. So I'm thinking I might buy a few more nibs from Galen, so the special grind nibs from Galen Leather, and I might try one of them in here. I've tried the flex nib, but I find flex nibs, I've got a medium flex nib from Galen Leather, I find them a bit gushy. Maybe I haven't figured out how to write with them, but yeah, so this is another one that I don't write with. Now, another thing about me, I don't resell my pens. Even, I mean, this was super cheap anyway. I'm a fountain pen collector as well, so the pens that I purchase is because I want them in my collection, and even though I might not use them, I like to have them as a memento, I guess, of my journey and of the pens that I've bought, collected. Then if there are ones that I've got doubles of, then what I will do is I will actually gift them. I have gifted a couple of my pens to my auntie and to my nephew, just because he showed some interest. I don't know if my auntie's ever used. I gave her my Pilot Prera, the hot pink one. I don't know if she's ever used it, but I gifted that to her. And then my nephew got my Pelican Twist, the silver one. So that is my collection of Mahjong or Moon Man so far. The thing I love about them is they're fun looking. They're a little bit different. Yes, they're all kind of demonstrator pens. And I just like the fact that they write really well. Their nibs are really good. They're good value. They're cheap. And I like the look of them, right? So I think what I'll do is I'll actually flip the camera over and have a top-down view, just for the simple fact that it's hard for you guys to see what I'm talking about. Okay, so I'll see you on the other side. All right, so my Moon Man collection. So we have my little fat man, which is the C1, and this has a Fuda nib on there. This is the only one that's not a demonstrator pen. This is the M600S Dream Purple with a fine nib, a size 6 fine nib. I call it the Purple People Eater. It's a lovely purple. Unfortunately not that great to write with. Then this is my Moon Man. This is the S5. It's got the coloured grip section. This is a fine nib that I've got on it. It's a size 5 nib. And then it's got this little diamante, which is fake, which just stops it from rolling. And it looks like a little spaceman in a spacesuit. Then the other one, which is my latest one, this one is the C1. But again, this one I've put a gallon leather nib on there. This is a oblique medium. I hope it's kind of focusing. You swap that out. That's a really great pen too. It looks like a tube. So these both look like tubes, but that one's got all the gold hardware in there. So that is my Moon Man collection, and this one here comes in this, you know, packaging, which is really cool. Next in my collection are my two Benus. I have a Benu Brio. This is not inked at the moment. This got a medium nib on it. They come with Schmidt nibs. And this was my first Benu pen. And it's called Blue Ice. And it's a Benu Briole, and I call her Brio for short. I name my pens too, by the way. And this is my second Benu. This is the Ambrosia collection. It's called Brown Orchids. It's a postable pen. I love it. I think it's great. Size 5 nib on it. I've got a medium, and this nib writes really, really well. So those are my two Benus. Now, next are my Lummies. Got the Safari, which is the Vista, which is a demonstrator. I've got the Lamy Safari Strawberry and the Lamy Safari Green. Now, I'm not using these. I don't use them. I haven't been inking them up, but on them I have tried various nibs. So one is the 1.5, the other one is the 1.9, and then I discovered 1.1s were my nibs. So they live in storage. I'm not going to get rid of them. They're special editions. They got the strawberry with the cream. Why not? This one's always inked up. I always use this. This is one of my favorite writers. I did get the black nib for it. I'm someone who replaces their nibs quite easily. That's something that I have kind of done a lot during my fountain pen journey. In here we have my Lamy All Stars. I call it Firefly. I think it's charged green, that one there. This is the white silver, and this was my first Lamy All Star. And then this one I got on special for like $30 or something. Oh no, $28. It was super cheap. This is the blue green. I have a fine nib on this one. I have a 1.1 nib on that one. I think I have another 1.1 nib on that one. So this is the only one that's inked up at the moment. For those of you who have watched some of my videos, you will know that this is always kind of like on my desk. This is where I keep my Lamies. This is the box that my Lamy Safari Strawberry came in. So I just sort of kind of house them in here all together, happily ever after. All right, so my next ones are my Narvalas. Now the first Narvala I got was my Skulkill. Now I did get this for my birthday the first year of my fountain pen journey. So I started my fountain pen journey in August 2022, and in September 2022 I ordered this with my Galen leather journal wrap cover. I did get it with a stub nib, a 1.1 stub nib, but it was a bit of a gusher. So I didn't kind of use it a lot. Then I got a Yova nib for it. I bought a stub nib again, and the Yova nib was okay. It worked better. And then what happened when I got my little fat man, what I did is I used the extra nib. So it came with the fine nib and the through nib. What I used was the fine nib, and I put it on here, and it just like, oh, it was a match made in heaven. And this is one of my favorite riders. So it is the Navala Skullkill, and it is the Chromus Teal. Okay, then my other one that I bought is this one here, and I really love it, but it's a vacuum filler, and again I have the same trouble with it, with riding with the flow. I really love it because it's got kind of like this purple nib. I love the swirly bits of it, but again I struggle with ink flow in it, even though I keep this open and all that sort of stuff. But I just find that it dries up anyway and it stops writing. And also this nib is quite it's actually quite stiff, and even this is very plasticky in the sense that it becomes hard after a while. It's not a comfortable pen to write with. So that is my, oh, I can't remember what it's called. I will link the name of it down below, with a fine nib. And then this is my beautiful Navala Horizon, and this is got this beautiful nib. It's got like this powder coating over it, and this nib glides. And this is the Twilight. I think there's 4 in that series. Those are my 3 Navalas. This one is always inked up. This one is always inked up. And this one unfortunately does not write super well. Okay, so that was those ones. Now another thing I just want to show you is all my nibs. So I have a lot of replacement nibs. Look at that, all in there is all my nibs from all my pens, because I'm someone who does replace their nibs. I've got Kaweco nibs in there. I've replaced some of my Twisby nibs. I've got a couple of my Pilot nibs, my CM nibs, which are not writing well, or one that fell and got misaligned, and to fix it, it's going to cost you more to send it to fix. So here are all my little nibs that I have replaced on some of my pens. Here are all my Lamis, really easy to swap out, and these are the nibs that I got from Galen Leather. So that replaced my Esterbrook. That's a Cypress nib that came on my Lemon Meringue. That is a Flex nib from Galen Leather, which I'm not super excited about. And this one I might put on my little fat man. I might replace that, because this is the nib that came off my C1, my Mahjong C1, which I exchanged it with the oblique medium. So yeah, so just to let you know, if you're not happy with the way your pens write, you can always explore different options. You can buy different nibs for them. You can get different grinds. These are all size 6 nibs. So one of my hot takes is that, you know, if you discover that you like a grind, you can buy certain pens and you can swap the nibs out. And what I do too, if the feed does not fit into that particular pen, what you can do is you can slip the nib out of the piece and then put just the little basic nib. So I'll show you on this one, right? So practically, because I have pulled it out, right? See, there's no kind of like the little feed is there. I've pulled it out of the piece and I've slipped it on the feed in the actual pen. So that's a hack, right? So if this bit here does not fit in the grip section of your pen, you have the option of removing this and putting this part of it onto the actual feed that is in your pen. So that's a way of swapping out. I know a lot of people don't do it because they're scared of the guarantee and stuff like that, if they want to resell their pen or if anything goes wrong. I mean, you know, when you play around like this, maybe your pen's not under warranty anymore, because I know I'm going to be keeping my pens, and because I know that I like a cursive smooth italic, I'm going to put the cursive smooth italic on my pen, right? So hack number one, try different grinds. You can buy different nibs, you can buy different sizes, you can swap your pens out if you're not scared to play around with them, and if you're not too worried about the warranty and you're pretty sure that you want to keep your pen and you don't want to resell it, go for it. Next collection, which is kind of the biggest, I guess, collection that I have, are my Pilot pens. So we have a couple of Pilot Metropolitans, we have a couple of Preras, and the reason why I have so many of them is because I got obsessed with the calligraphy medium nib that comes on the Preras and the Metropolitans. At the beginning, one of them I dropped my pen and I ruined the nib, and then I discovered that they don't sell the calligraphy mediums on their own, so I kept on sort of buying pens so I could get the calligraphy medium nib, because it's cheaper to buy the pen than to actually send the nib over to Japan to get fixed. And I did have 3 Metropolitans. I had Lizard as well, which I gifted to Simon from the Herman's Cave, which was the guy who inspired my fountain pen journey. Then I have a few Preras, so I wanted the ivory, but the ivory wasn't available, so I got the Prera in the hot pink, which kind of seemed red, but it was actually hot pink. So I bought that, and then I bought this because this also, the demonstrator comes with, isn't that very satisfying? I love that sound. So I bought that, and then I finally got the ivory because that was the color I wanted. What happened was, with all these CM nibs that I eventually ended up accumulating, some of them were a little bit scratchy, and what I naively went and did was, with my micro mesh, I tried to sort of get that scratchiness out of it, and what I ended up doing was actually blunting them. And me taking the micro mesh to those nibs, I kind of ruined 3 nibs. So that's why I have all this collection, which is good, because I mean, these 2 pens now have medium nibs on it and I really love them. This one has the calligraphy medium nib, and this has a calligraphy medium nib on it, but that's one of the ones I think I ruined. And then I have the Kakuno, which doesn't have the nib because I took the nib and put it on here, I think, or on one of those. I wanted to try out a Kakuno. And then I have a Pilot Explorer. Now this one, I know that people have said that they love their Kakunos and stuff. I just find it very plasticky, and I just don't like the feel of it, and it hurts my fingers, to be honest, when I write with it. I mean, not that the nibs write perfectly fine. I just don't kind of like the feel of this in my hand. Just part of my collection, so I can say that I've tried it out. And then this one here is really great. This nib is so fantastic. I keep blue ink in here, so that's inked up with blue ink all the time. The main 3 that I write with are these 3. That lives in my purse or my bag, and these don't really get used. So those are those Pilots there. And then my most expensive Pilot is my Pilot Custom 74. Now I got this with a music nib because this was one of those things that I wanted to explore. It is quite an interesting nib, the music nib. I have a video about it. You can go check that out. This is a beautiful pen because it's quite sort of like a thick nib, and it's quite a fiddly nib, and you have to kind of work with it at angles and stuff like that. And I don't really use it for the simple fact that, you know, at the moment I want to write in my journal. This is fun just for ink explorations and to play around with line widths and stuff like that, same as a food nib. They're kind of a bit sort of gimmicky. The music nibs were actually invented to write music with, hence why, because you can write with them at different angles. So this is a pen that often remains uninked unless I'm sort of playing around with shimmer inks, especially. This is good with shimmer inks. Another pen I just have one of is my Platinum Plaisir. This one I didn't have like initially a pleasant experience with it. This is kind of like a limited edition. It's for their 20-year anniversary, 25-year anniversary, something like that. But yeah, I kind of struggled with the whole kind of ink in the feed, and what happened was I think I rinsed it out. There was too much water in there, and then the ink that I went to use was watered down and it wasn't working and all that sort of stuff. But anyway, I think for the price that I paid for it, I mean, I thought it wasn't value for money because I spent over 50 Australian dollars on it. And I thought, you know, it's just like plastic, you know, it's nothing special. So anyway, this is inked up with my black ink. So I have, this has my black ink, this has a blue ink. I don't really use them all that much because I don't really like writing with blue and black, but this lives in my bag. This is on my desk if I ever want to write with black ink. So another brand that I only have one pen is Laban, and this is my antique. So I saw this, I loved it, I loved the look of it, I love the detail of sort of like a clip as well. I love the way it's all integrated into the cap. The only thing unfortunately is this grip section is very, very tiny. It's a bit uncomfortable to write with for me. I did get it with a broad, and I didn't like the broad nib in it, even though it's a size 5 nib. So it's Brass Antique 2, I think that's the name of it. But I love it. I love the look of it. It's a gorgeous pen. It's quite heavy. The heft of it is in the cap. I'm not going to sell this anytime soon. I think it's gorgeous. Every now and again I bring it out and I write with it just for fun. Okay, so that's my Laban. Now let's get into these two pens. So these are my only two hand-turned pens, right? So this one here is my first one. This is my Galen Leather X, and it's called Bohemian Twilight because the blank is a Jonathan Brooks blank, and it is the blank used for a lot of pens at the moment, but especially for one of the Leonardos. It is a beautiful pen. It's from Studio Agakakan, which partners with Galen Leather. It feels really lightweight. It's gorgeous. I did originally buy this with a flex nib. Didn't like the flex nib. Now it has a cursive smooth italic on it in a medium. And this pen is super comfy, super beautiful, super luxurious. Feels really nice, and it's quite lightweight. So the second pen I do have is from Just Turnings. Again, this is super fun. I like the swirly whirlies in it. It's got some pink chatoyance as well. It's called Lemon Meringue. This I bought with a cypress nib in a fine, and I've replaced it with another Galen Leather nib. This is the Soft Architect or Dentist nib. Mine has been ground from a double broad, and initially I kind of was a bit confused about it, but now that I've learnt how to use it, it's really great. You can write vertically, horizontally, you can do all different line weights with it, which is super cool. Now I find this pen here a little bit heavier as opposed to this pen here, but all in all it's quite comfortable, and you can't post these pens. For some reason this feels less comfortable than my Galen Leather one, but they're both beautiful and I'm really happy to have them in my collection. I prefer my pens with hardware on them, and so this is why I'm kind of like reticent to buy hand-turned pens. I know that Just Turnings does do pens with hardware, but yeah, so you know, it's an extra cost. So those are my two hand-turned pens. Now the next collection I want to show you is my TWSBI collection. So I've got 4 TWSBIs. So that's a TWSBI Classic, which is super fun. I've got a 1.1 nib on that one, and it is a piston filler, this one. Fun, cute. The nib is not
fantastic. It's a bit of a gusher, so I find that I don't reach for this as much, and also I find that the grip section is quite thin, and in my fountain pen journey I have discovered that I like a wider grip. It's just more comfortable. Another one that I've got is my little TWSBI Mini, the black one. I really find this comfortable for a small pen. It's really super comfortable. The grip section is my comfort zone. I did get this with a 1.1 stub nib. I have now got a medium nib on it. I swapped those out just to test it out. So that's my little TWSBI Mini. My other TWSBI that I have is this one here, which is the 580 Diamond. This is the Iris. Now it did come with the nib that matches the iridescent colors, but because it was a 1.1, I didn't like the way it wrote, so I've put a fine nib in here. This is the nib that came off my Briolet. When I first got it, I had this fine nib on it and it was very scratchy, but I've put it on here and we've kind of broken it in, and I've given it a bit of a micro mesh, and slowly it's writing a little bit better. Not great, but yeah, I might sort of think of getting maybe a medium nib or a fine nib for this pen, but I just love the colors of it. It's great. That's kind of like a special or limited edition. And then I got an aluminium, so a TWSBI aluminium. This is a medium and it's called Sunset. I just love that the fact that it's got the hardware is all the same color, and this has little grooves in the grip section. It's a fun pen, very comfortable, writes really well, and yeah, so you know, out of all of them, these two are the ones that are most comfortable for me at the moment to write with. And yeah, these are the ones that I kind of ink up. This just lives in its little box. I don't want to give it away. This is part of my collection, the TWSBI Classic, and every now and again I might give it a go with a dry ink. So those are my TWSBIs. My next two ones I want to share are my Esterbrook SD and my Esterbrook Junior. So this was the first one I got in palm green. This is a postable pen. This comes with a size 5 nib, and initially, because it kind of has a little step here, that was super annoying, but then you kind of get used to it when you write with it. It's got a medium nib on it, and this is super cute. I like the color, the chatoyance. At this stage, everyone was sort of raving on about their Esterbrook SDs and how comfortable they were and so on and so forth. But I saw this on, I think it was on Macy Me's channel. She got it. I just fell in love with the color, and I think I got it at a good price. It was on sale, or there was a discount happening, so I got that one. And then eventually this year I finally got me an Esterbrook SD. Now it's not one of my faves, like it wasn't the one that I wanted. I wanted the Torty, but this one was on sale, and this is the Blue Nouveau. And so I got this, and this is just the perfect size pen. It's the perfect sort of grip for me. It's really comfortable. I can post it and I can write with it posted. It is a little bit back heavy, but still I could if I wanted to. This is really super comfortable for me. I did buy it with a fine, but I've replaced it now. This one has a cursive smooth italic in a fine. And I just love the combination of that nib with this pen. It's just awesome. So really happy with my Esterbrook SD. So now, you know, the pens that I look for are the ones that have got kind of the same grip section as this pen here. So those two are my SDs. Another collection is my Kavekos. So I have two Kavekos. I got this one from Cult Pens. It was like a special edition one, so it's kind of like see-through and sparkly. And then I got the aluminium one. This is kind of like, I think is it blue denim or stone washed. The only thing about this one, it's uncomfortable in the sense that it's hard and it tires my fingers when I write with it. So I don't really use this that much, but I think it's super cute. And this is really comfortable, this one here. I did do an experiment, so I think one of these came with a broad. I think this one I got it with a broad, and then this nib was on this, which was a medium nib, and then I got 1.1 nibs for them, and I didn't really like the way they wrote, and so then eventually out of the two, you know, this nib wrote better than all the others that I got. So I've got this nib on this pen because if I have to write with my Kaweco, this is my Kaweco of choice. It should really have a gold nib on it, but that was the broad and I didn't like it. And I didn't like the 1.1 stub nibs that I bought for them. So there you go. Those are my two little Kawecos. Very cute. And then I only have one Sailor Pro Gear in my collection. I find them very expensive. This I found on sale. This is the Cherry Blossom one. It did come with a bottle of ink. I got it from Pen Heaven in the UK. Very cute. It's my only gold nib that I have. And it's a medium nib, but unfortunately I hadn't had it inked up for a while, and for some reason the other day I went to ink it up again and the nib was scratchy. So I don't know what happened to the nib, why it was scratchy. It's always written super well. So I had to sort of give it a bit of a micro mesh to smooth it out, but it's kind of like, you know, that's a problem when you do these things and you try to smooth the nib out. You might go and ruin the actual, you know, the way it writes. So yeah, so this is one of those pens that I love. It feels really good. The resin on this is just so smooth, so nice. But you know, I would like to get different nibs, but you just can't buy separate nibs for sailors, unfortunately, which is so annoying. Yeah, so that's my one and only Sailor. This is the Pro Gear Slim. I do want to try a Pro Gear, just a normal one, but I just find them so expensive, to be honest. I mean, you can't really get Sailor Pro Gears that are less than, you know, $400. So yeah, a bit annoying, but there you have it. Now, this is my most recent pen that I bought this year. This is a Joya Metis Cappuccino. Now, I know that in my video I called it an Aurora. That my bad. It's not an Aurora. It's a Joya. So it's a Neapolitan brand from Italy. It's really nice. It's got kind of like a gold, a rose gold nib. And the reason why I got it from Galen Leather because it had a cursive smooth italic nib already on it, and I was in the process of buying some extra nibs, and you know, with a 10% discount you get from Galen Leather, I thought, oh yeah, that's a reasonable price. It's a good looking pen. I love the color of it. I love the look of it, and it comes with cursive smooth italic, so why not? I say, why not? So that's that. And then new to my collection are these pens that the lovely Jane Pen and Ink sent me as part of Happy Mail. So she sent me some stickers, some inks to try out, and then also she sent me some pens. So she sent me this one here, which I haven't unboxed yet, which is a cross Fire Engine brand. This is like made in China. Okay, so that one. Then there's the Click, which is an Indian brand, and this has got a flex nib on it, or their kind of idea of a flex nib. It's quite a pretty pen. And then these two here. This is the orange pen. This is a Hero model 395. It's quite a hefty pen, to be honest. And then this one here, which is the Fulliver Langevie, and it's got this really cute cap. But this has got a very fine grip section, and it's got this kind of step there, which is super annoying. So this for me unfortunately won't be something that I can write with very comfortably. Same with this, it looks interesting. Yeah, I find it very thin. So these are, I believe, Chinese pens. So she sent me these because she has these pens herself and they're doubles, and she very kindly sent them over to me to try out. And then this one here is a Noodler's ink pen, which is super fun. And it is a Nantucket Chimney a Fire acrylic Conrad pen, and I think it has either a medium or a fine. This is great. I've got it inked up. It's very comfortable to write with, and I love the nib. It's got a little bit of a flex to it. Very comfortable, very cute to look at. So I've got that inked up with Atlas Stationer Iron Ore in there, which was an ink that Jane sent over with these pens. So as I mentioned in my intro, I also sort of wanted to share with you a few hacks. So one of my hacks that I've discovered obviously is with the nibs. So playing around with nibs, different grinds. For a lot of people in the States, I know that you guys can go to the pen shows. I know that you guys have got the nibs meisters that you can go and get your different grinds on your pen. So if you get a fine or a medium or a broad, you can get them ground down. But for a lot of people like me, we don't have nib meisters in Australia. I don't think there are. I have no idea. I think there might be one in Melbourne. I don't know. I would have to send my pen overseas to America to get them ground. And I know that pens are really super expensive if you buy them with specialty grind. But having said that, I've discovered Galen Leather does sell specialty grind nibs. They're size 6, they're Yovo nibs, so they will fit in certain feeds, so they will fit directly into any pen that has a Yovo feed. Or alternatively, as I said, you can always remove the actual nib from the section, and then you can put it on the feed into the section of the original pen, and that will work fine. Another hack that I have discovered in my fountain pen journey is where you can try and always get samples. Try out your samples before investing in a bottle. I made the mistake of buying inks that I don't like, and now I've got a bottle full of it and I don't know what to do with it. I mean, I know that I bought a couple of pens, like this one came with a huge bottle of ink to go with that I don't like and I don't use, and it just sits there. And this one too came with a massive bottle of ink, you know, like a 50ml ink bottle, 40ml ink bottle of inks that I don't like, so I'm not going to use, so they sit there and be wasted. That's another hack that I would suggest for those of you who are beginners, or you know, the best bet is to always get a sample of ink, and then when you are 100% sure that you love that ink, you're going to be using it, then actually invest in buying a bottle. Now I know a lot of people don't have places where they can get sample inks from, which is a bit unfortunate, and they do have to invest in buying a whole bottle, which is a super bummer, you know. So that's my second hack. And I guess my third hack is for people who are new, or my advice would be, is to not get sucked into keeping up with the Joneses, because at the end of the day, if you like to collect only one brand of pen, I know that a lot of people have Kavekos. They love Kavekos and they collect Kavekos and they have every single color of the Kaveco. Fair enough. For those of us who kind of like want to try out a variety of pens, I would say if you're beginning or just sort of thinking of what you want to do, I would suggest that you try different brands first, and then when you come across the brand that you really like, then maybe invest in getting that same brand in different colors. Obviously, like our fountain pen journeys are different. We're all looking for something different. But yeah, I would sort of suggest that if you want to try out a few brands, try out a few brands first, instead of just like going all in and buying 1,000 pens that are all the same just to get the different colors kind of thing. And this keeping up with the Joneses, you know, in the sense every time a new pen comes out or a limited edition comes out, or, you know, this and that and the other, and we covet them and we want them, that's also something I believe that to be mindful of, and to just ask the question, is it necessary that I have to have 50 special editions, you know, just because this new special edition has come out, and you get FOMO. So, I mean, those are three things that I've kind of realized along my journey. My thing is nibs. I have decided that I love my specialty nib grind. So now for me, it's more about finding a pen that has my specialty nib grind. And if I don't, me purchasing the nib itself, and then I can swap them out in certain pens, right? I do have still some Grail pens that I'd really love, but at the moment I'm just kind of happy with where I'm at. I want to enjoy the pens that I have. I want to use the inks that I have. I don't want to be spending money on pens that are just going to sit there because I can only get them in a fine and a medium. I want to be able to get a pen that I know that I can use. I can swap out a nib. I can put the nib that I like writing with in with the ink that I like writing with, instead of having all these samples that I collect and then I don't use, and I feel bad about it because I'm not using those inks, but I don't love them, so I don't use them. So yeah, anyway, it's all fun and games, and I think it's a healthy hobby, and I think it's interesting, and I still love it, and I still enjoy it, and I still write with my pens. I'm just not overboard with it. I'm still obsessed, but not as much as I was at the beginning. So I am really happy with my fountain pen journey. I'm really happy with the lovely community that's out there, and I love sharing videos with you guys, and I hope that you have enjoyed this long and lengthy and chatty video with me, and until my next one, ciao.